Hi, I'm Kristin Omdahl and welcome back to my studio. In this video, I want to show you some tips and tricks for getting started making one of the projects from my brand new book, 24 Crochet Hats, Interesting Techniques and Inclusive Sizing for Men, Women, Children, and Babies. Let's get started. This is the Parker Simply Striped Hat. This is a wonderful beginner-friendly hat pattern that looks good on anybody from a baby to a child, man, or woman. If you can double crochet in the round, you can make this hat in any size. For variation, add alternating thicknesses of stripes, or you could even make this all in one color. You will need number 3 DK weight yarn and a G6 crochet hook or whatever size you need to obtain the gauge. This hat comes in 4 different sizes. You could make it in 12 inches, 16 inches, 20 inches, or 24-inch circumference. This is shown in size 12 inches. I changed color on every round with this hat, which means that I actually fastened off at the end of each round after slip stitching to join the rounds and then starting a new color after that. You could do this changing color every round. You could do this changing color every couple of rounds. You could stagger the height of your stripes, or you could even do it in one color. There are so many different ways you could add variation to this super simple hat pattern. This hat begins at the crown, and we start with a very small number of stitches and increase our way out to the outside edge of the crown, and then work even in pattern for the remainder of the hat walls. So you want to start by tying your yarn to your crochet hook. You can use a square knot or a slip knot, it doesn't matter, and you're going to chain 5. Slip stitch to the 5th chain from your hook. If you're counting back, you want to make sure you don't count the loop on your hook. That's your working loop. So we'll count back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Slip stitch into the 5th chain from your hook to form a ring. This is our chain 5 ring. Round 1 begins with chain 2, which does not count as our first stitch, and we're going to work 12 double crochets in the ring. Double crochet is yarn over your hook, insert your hook in the ring, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2 loops on your hook. That's our first stitch. The round said to do 12 double crochets, so you want to do 11 more in that same ring. At the end of round 1, you want to slip stitch to the first stitch at the beginning of the round to join. Now remember, we said the chain 2 does not count as a stitch. That means that you're going to want to slip stitch, skip the chain 2 and slip stitch into the top of the first double crochet at the beginning of the round to join. And this is what the end of round 1 should look like. If you are changing color and making stripes on your hat, you would cut your yarn and fasten off. Otherwise, if you were going to do this all in one color, you would skip that step. So I'm going to grab a second color of yarn now. This is color Mint, by the way, and now I'll be grabbing color Lime. We're going to tie our yarn to our crochet hook again. You can use a slip knot, square knot, whichever you prefer, and we're going to slip stitch to join in that same stitch. Same stitch that we just fastened off on. So we'll slip stitch to join in that first stitch. Round 2 begins with a chain 2, which also does not count as a stitch, and we'll work 2 double crochets in that first stitch. And then our repeat is to work 2 double crochets in each stitch around. At the end of round 2, you want to slip stitch to the first stitch at the beginning of the round to join. Remember that chain 2 didn't count as a stitch in this round either. In fact, throughout this pattern, we won't be counting the chain 2s as double crochets. So we're going to skip that chain 2, slip stitch to the top of the first double crochet at the beginning of the round to join. If you are continuing on with this color, you do not need to fasten off. If you are changing color for the next round, you would want to fasten off here. So let me show you what we would do if we don't fasten off. Round 3 begins with a chain 2, which does not count as a stitch, and then we'll work 2 double crochets in the first stitch, and 1 double crochet in the next stitch. And our repeat for this round is 2 double crochets in the next stitch, then 1 double crochet in the next stitch. And you want to repeat that all the way around. At the end of the round, you want to slip stitch to the top of the first stitch at the beginning of the round to join, making sure that it's the first double crochet and not the chain 2. And if you are fastening off and changing color, or if you are changing color, you'll want to fasten off here. Otherwise, you will continue on in the same color. It's up to you, depending on how you're planning out your color work. And then you want to continue in this established pattern for however many rounds the pattern calls for, and this depends on which size hat you're making. So like it'll tell you to continue on. Each round is written out specifically in the pattern, but it'll tell you which round of the crown to end on for whichever size of the hat you're making, assuming you're working to the same gauge. Then when you finish the crown section, you're going to work even in pattern, and what that means is that we simply work 1 double crochet in each stitch around for the hat walls, meaning there are no increases along the hat wall section. And the hat walls are worked in a spiral, and let me show you what that means. So if we're starting the next color for the hat walls and working in the spiral, it's going to be slip stitch to the first stitch to join, chain 1 single crochet in that first stitch, then half double crochet in the next stitch, yarn over your hook, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops on your hook, and then double crochet, yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And notice how we have a graduating line of shorter stitch to taller stitch. That's so that when we make our way all the way around and come back to this side, we'll end up working in a spiral and not needing to slip stitch to join at the end of the round. The pattern will tell you how long the hat walls need to be for whichever size of the pattern you're making. When you're changing color of yarn in the middle of a spiral, the way you change color is a little bit different than how I described it at the beginning of this video as well. So when changing color, you're going to finish the last step of the last stitch in color A with color B. Let me show you what I mean. To make the double crochet, we're using our first color. It's yarn over your hook, insert your hook in the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. The last step of that stitch would be to yarn over, pull through 2 again, but instead we'll finish that step with the next color, and then we'll be ready to work the next color in the next stitch. And so whenever you're changing color within a round, you're going to want to work the last step of the last stitch in the previous color with the new color. Then the other thing I need to show you is that when you're also working in a spiral, when you're ready to finish the spiral, we need to gradually decrease our stitches back down to the shorter section again. So how we notice we have this jog between the end of this round and this double crochet. So just like we did at the beginning of the spiral, increasing our stitch height, we're going to decrease it now. So in our second to last stitch, it will be a half double crochet again, yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops on your hook. Then next stitch is single crochet. And now you can see you could even slip stitch in the next stitch as well. And that'll give you that nice graduated line back down. And you really, other than the fact that I've changed color, you can't tell that it's a spiral now. So then the very last round of the pattern is to work reverse single crochet as a nice little trim around the entire hat. So to get that texture, let me show you how we do reverse single crochet. It's insert your hook into the stitch to the right of your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop. We're going to work from left to right. So we're going to insert our crochet hook in the stitch to the right of our hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. If you are left-handed, this would be the opposite of what I'm saying. Basically, you're working in the opposite direction of how you normally crochet. So we're working back over the very last stitches we just worked. So if you're a right-hand crocheter and you normally work right to left, you're working left to right now. And if you're a left-hand crocheter, you're doing the opposite. And you'll want to repeat this all the way around and slip stitch to join. Follow the link in the video description for information on the pattern, the book, the ebook, and Be So Baby yarn. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions at all, please leave them for me in the comments. And everything we talked about today is linked in the video description below. Let us make time to create, share, and inspire today and every day. I'll see you in the next video.